show. Here's your host, it's Annie Talks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Annie Talks, where we bring to you interesting stories about interesting people that you want to know about. I'm your host, Annie Rivera. Thank you for tuning in, and to those who have already subscribed. If you're new to the podcast, welcome, and I hope you enjoy what you hear. And if so, I personally invite you to subscribe. Annie Talks is brought to you by Luxwear Trends, affordable, luxurious timepieces for every occasion, luxury that lasts forever, and that's what sets us apart from others. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit luxweartrends.com. That's Luxe weartrends.com. As we continue with the Entrepreneur series, I wanted to highlight a dynamic woman business owner. This person is someone whose promo appeared on my Facebook newsfeed. I was drawn to her instantaneously, due largely in part by her photos from the beach, from exotic-looking places, and secondly by her story. And you know how much I love a good story. So my guest on this episode is Joan Dizon, a wife, mom, traveler, and entrepreneur. She is the CEO of Living the Daydream. Joan says she admits to forgetting to wash her face at night and usually wears the same denim jeans 4 days in a row and has a new addiction for surfing. Hello. Joan is currently in the beautiful islands of the Philippines and mentors women entrepreneurs and teaches online classes. I'm excited for you to hear Joan's story, so without further delay, here now is my conversation with Joan Dizon. So Joan, thank you so much for being on the show. I really, truly appreciate it.
You're welcome. I am so happy to be here. I'm super honored to be here as well, and I'm really excited.
Yay! So let's dive right in. Let's tell everybody the life according to Joan. So give a sense of your background, you know, your hometown and your upbringing and all that.
Sure. So I was born in San Diego, California, and then we moved over to Dallas, Texas, where I was pretty much raised. And we went to school there as well. I attended a local college there. And then that's where I met my husband, and long story short, we've had kids, and just a few years ago, we sold everything and we started traveling. And now we are in San Juan, Philippines, living by the beach and enjoying life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, rub it in. Rub it in. But I want everybody to understand, you know, how you came to that life of leisure. And so, you know, before we go into that, I just, you know, wanted to just tap on that a little bit. But tell us, and this is the story I love and I wanted everybody to hear, is talk about your what I call the zero to hero story. Talk about, you know, that moment that made you go, aha, this is what I want to do. And talk about your entrepreneurship, if you could.
Absolutely. Well, it really hit us hard when my husband had to deploy with the Navy, and he had to deploy in Africa for 12 months, so a whole year. And that left me alone with 3 young kids for a whole year. And it was pretty difficult. And at the time, I didn't really tell a lot of my friends how hard it was, just because I didn't want to magnify the situation. But deep down inside, I was on survival mode, just kind of struggling, you know, day to day, kind of putting, you know, a mask on for people to know that I'm okay. But deep down inside, it was very lonely. It was hard. I struggled a lot. And it was kind of a catch-22 because, you know, my husband being in the Navy, he was deployed fighting for our country's freedom. Mm-hmm. However, like at home, we were not free. It was a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. We weren't able to see him. He wasn't able to come home for birthdays, holidays. And that right there was a big shift where I was like, life is too short to be living a life where I'm struggling and he's away. Right. And that's where I said, you know what, we got to do something, got to start something. I want to be able to start a business so that when he gets back, we won't have to worry about finances. We wouldn't have to worry about him coming home, having to go back to a corporate job and go back to what we were doing before. I wanted something new. I like I said, I just wanted for him to come back and for us to be able to get that whole year back, because he missed birthdays, he missed holidays. I wanted time for us to grow together again after being away for so long. So that was my big aha moment, was like, hey, this enough is enough. Yeah. And that's when I knew that I wanted to start something, especially online, so that we were able to travel. And you know, at the time I was talking to one of my mentors, and they challenged me to voice my visions and voice my dreams, and to share that, to do a video about it and to share it on Facebook. And so it was at that time I was like, you know, I really want to travel with my family. I want my husband to come home. I want us to be integrated again. I didn't want to worry about finances. And, you know, at the time of the video, I had no idea how it was all going to pan out, because he was away and I was just living day to day. So, you know, that's how it all kind of started, was that's what brought like the fire in my belly, because I had these visions of us traveling and of us being a family again, and just us having all these different experiences together. Mm-hmm.
So tell us, like, can you go a little deeper and tell us maybe kind of a tactical, what did you do? How did you start that? And, you know, what prompted you, or what was the mechanism that prompted you to say, okay, this is what I want to do, this business, and how did you turn it into a business?
Sure. So I was on social media, just scrolling like everybody else does on social media. And I saw this family that was traveling, that had time freedom, that had financial freedom. They were traveling all of the places where I wanted to go to. Basically, they had the life that I was looking for. Mm-hmm. So I contacted them, and I would, you know, ask them questions like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And they told me, hey, we do online affiliate marketing, which they sell other people's products online or on their social media pages, or basically on social media through email or online. Mm-hmm. And so I just linked arms with them, and I said, hey, how do you do this? How is this possible? And they were able to show me the ropes, like, hey, this is the product that you can sell, and this is the commission that you can get if you, and you can just scale your social media and scale your email lists, and you're able to, you know, sell somebody else's products and make commissions.
Awesome. Kind of like what I'm doing with you. I scrolled down and I ran across kind of the same thing. I ran across one of your posts or one of your videos. I can't remember it specifically, but I remember thinking, oh my gosh, look at this. She's Filipino. And second of all, oh my gosh, she's doing what I want to do. She's traveling, and she's working remotely from, you know, beachside, poolside, you know, vacation side, whatever. And all the things that I thought, oh my gosh, I have to, like you, I have to link arms with her. I have to figure something out. And so I reached out to you, and this is a couple months ago, and, you know, twists and turns and whatnot. And then it led me right back to you again. So here we are.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing, right?
Like, it is. So, you know, this is kind of more for me personally, as well as it is for me to try and, you know, get this out there for everybody else, so, you know, the world can hear. So I'm super excited to learn more about it. So now tell us what keeps you motivated, what inspires you on a day-to-day basis?
You know, even after, you know, being an entrepreneur is, or going into life or anything, there's always obstacles. There's always things that are going to try and get you down, or your ego is going to keep talking to you, telling you that, hey, it's not going to happen, or there's no, these things are impossible, blah, blah, blah. And as much like personal development that I do and reading books or affirmations, the one thing that gets me motivated and keeps me inspired is just my own visions of my future, my own, I guess, dreams. And that makes me eager to continue on even after, some defeats or some failures or just some setbacks. Like just the vision of me traveling around the world, taking my kids to Africa and checking out elephants and, just the visions of that, or the visions of me renting a yacht on the south of Africa and having my whole family come and join me. That brings the eagerness out. And the more I can get specific on my visions, the more, like I was just telling you, there's going to be elephants involved. There's going to be a yacht involved. That brings out so much emotion that it gets me so eager.
Right. Oh my gosh. See, I'm telling you, she's living the life. And I really love what you said, is that you basically had to vocalize your vision. You had to not only put it on paper, vocalize it, and then see it, visualize it. So
yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I think that to me is very inspiring. So I think we can all of us can kind of garner a lot of information from that.
I also think, not just writing it down, not just visualizing, but sharing it. Like, I think that's a big block for a lot of people too, is, a lot of girls or moms come and tell me like, oh, they have these big visions, but they are so afraid to share it. And there's so much power there. And when you share it, no matter what anybody will say, just to share it brings it into reality. If that makes sense, Annie?
Yeah, no, it totally does. So here's a question I have for you. It just kind of came up. So now, did you have a lot of maybe negative feedback saying, well, why don't you just go get a corporate job? I get that all the time. I do. I get that all the time saying, well, are you able to make ends meet? Why don't you just go get a corporate job and then, do that for a little while and then come back and pursue your dreams? But me, no, but then that just sets me back further. So talk about that a little bit if you can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we had a lot of people just come and say, hey, why don't you just go back to the job, or settle down, buy the house, settle down. We've had a ton of that. And it really just comes down to, for me, when there's a lot of chatter going on with my mind, with everybody else, to me, that's when you need to back away, go to a quiet spot, go meditate, go lie down. And, everybody's telling you to lean in and take action, blah, blah. I'm like, no, step back, go and lie down.
Yeah.
And that's when you can reconnect. And that's where you find the answers.
Yeah.
Is when you can reconnect to your creator and to yourself. Because, that brings your soul, and it just gets you more open and receptive to the answers instead of other people or your ego chattering to you.
Ah, awesome. I like to call what I call an out of body experience, where you're high above and then you're looking down and you say to yourself, okay, what's wrong with this picture, or what's good with this picture, or what can I do differently? So I really like to be, like to have kind of the overarching time, like you said, the meditation time, and then realize, okay, this is where I am now, where this is where I want to be, what can get me from point A to point B. So
exactly.
So I think you touched on that quite nicely there. Now tell us a little bit about who your biggest influences were, maybe your childhood days or today's heroes, and why.
Definitely my childhood. My parents were very big influencers. My dad was my number one fan, biggest cheerleader. He was always just praising me, even for trying, I remember when I first started I joined a network marketing company, like my very first one, like straight after college.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that he knew that I knew, or wait, I knew that he knew that it wasn't working. I was going to fail, right?
Yeah. Oh no.
And even though he saw me failing and totally just falling and struggling, he was like, you know what? At least you're trying, because a lot of people don't even try. So you definitely my dad. And my mom, in a different way, she was very supportive, and she was a little bit more straightforward. And we didn't really get a lot, like looking back, we kind of butted heads a lot, but looking back, those times that we butted heads and we struggled, those are my times of learning from her.
Right.
So yeah. And then my biggest influencers today, I definitely do a lot of Tony Robbins. I love Marie Forleo, Russell Brunson,
Awesome.
Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks. So just a lot of that mushed together just are huge influencers.
Awesome. And then now, who are your mentors today, and are you mentoring others into entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. I do work with a coach, and her name is Monique Alvarez. And I'm also mentoring others in entrepreneurship. I recently have started a masterclass in mindset, and then I started another masterclass in money mindset, and then a third masterclass in business creation and business mastery.
Awesome. Are we able to link to that, or how can anybody out there want to jump on your masterclass?
Sure. If you do a search on Facebook do a search Living the Daydream Family on Facebook, and then also on Instagram, if you do a search Living the Daydream CEO, you can find me there.
Awesome. So I will have all that information linked in the show notes for everybody who are listening, so that you can definitely have that access to that. Great. Now talk about I think we talked a little bit, but maybe hone in on one of the biggest obstacles or challenges that you've had as an entrepreneur, and how you overcame that.
Sure. One of the biggest challenges was, when you're first starting out, you invest in money and you invest some time. And when I first started out, I invested a lot of money, and credit card fees were due, or, membership fees were due, and I would be so stressed out during those times. And then I wouldn't be operating from myself, like to my soul, to my essence. I was operating from stress and from anger and frustration. Mm-hmm. So when you operate from stress, frustration, and angry, you're not very, your work isn't aligned, I guess you could say. And your work is kind of conflicting, because that is not your true core. That's not your true essence. And then you'll see your work not be as profitable because you're not in a good place. Does that make sense? I just remember I was operating from a stressful place, and then my profits wouldn't be matching up.
So how did you overcome that?
So overcoming that was, I had to step back. I had to say, I need to align myself first and operate at a much higher vibration. I need to operate it to my core, to my true essence, at a more happier place, and a place of eagerness. Then I was able to see, then the profit started coming in. Then the business started to connect. Mm-hmm. So that's my biggest thing, is because starting a business is you get uncertain. You get that feeling of uncertainty, and you don't know what to do. You're just like, what am I doing? Or I'm going to mess things up. And then you're just not operating, and you're not living in your true core essence, happy place. But when you do operate from there, then you kind of see you see progress and you see profits and you see clients and, it starts going.
Awesome. So now do you take the time morning, middle of the day, or at night to kind of decompress? What's your decompression or decompress? What does that look like to you? I mean, when do you start to, meditate and start to kind of assess everything? What does that look like for you?
First thing in the morning, waking up. Before, I used to wake up and look at my phone and check emails and check Facebook and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that is not. Yeah, so I used to do that. And then, and then your mind just starts going and going and going before, before anything happened. But, if you wake up and, start meditation from there, start your intentions for the day from there, then you're kind of clear for the rest of the day or until, and I don't really have a set time, during the day. It's if I feel stressed or if I feel like I need to step back or lie down or take a walk on the beach, then I need to clear my head. When I'm looking for an answer, I don't sit in the front of the computer and wait for an answer. Like I'll go and dance or I'll go and sing or I'll walk on the beach with my kids. And then, all of a sudden the answers are coming to me because I'm operating from a much happier place or a much more allowing and receiving place than being stressed and closed and, wondering how it's going to happen. It just naturally flows when you are allowing, open, and happy.
Awesome. I love that. So that's me. And the first thing that I do when I wake up, it's typically, gosh, why do we do that? Why do we gravitate to our phones for social media? I'm trying to change that mindset now where the first thing I do besides turn off my alarm, is to look at my phone and, open up my Bible app and, start meditating. And, I have several Bible apps that I have, and during different times of the day, I have devotionals and such. So that gets me going. But, sometimes you need that midday break or you need that mid-afternoon break or mid-evening break, to really kind of gather yourself and see kind of an overarching picture. I'll go walk my dog. Sometimes by, walking my dog, I'm trying to be where I walk my dog and I walk my dog and not walk my dog and do work. Or walk my dog and start thinking of things. I want to, this is his time, it's like, So I need that time to be able to just stop and smell the roses, stop and breathe a little bit. So I love how you do that.
And another thing, little tip that I wanted to put out there also is, I know us as women, we love to multitask. We are expert multitaskers. But as an entrepreneur woman, we need to stay focused on one thing at a time. And that was a game changer for me also, because I remember when I first started, I was playing with my kids and looking at my phone trying to do work, or I was working out and on my phone trying to work. But once I was able to say, hey, this is work time, I can work here. And this is kid time. This is when I this is when I spend time with my kids, and just be laser focused on one thing at a time. And it's such a it's a hard habit to break, especially for women. So I think for women, we've got to keep laser focused on one thing at a time.
That's a good point. I love that you said that. Yes, we are multitaskers and we are definitely good at what we do when we multitask. But when you do stay laser focused, I find myself more productive that way when you are laser focused on one task at a time. Because not only does it have your full attention, but you feel so much more accomplished by doing that.
A little bit more effective and more efficient that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I hope you're enjoying this podcast episode. We'll be right back after this short message from one of our sponsors. Comfitherm thermal wraps are designed to help relieve the pain and swelling in and around the jaw, especially after wisdom teeth extractions. For more information, visit comfitherm.com. That's comfitherm.com. We talked earlier about something that was challenging and how you overcame it. So talk now about something memorable, a memorable moment or your greatest achievement thus far, and something that made you just kind of go, hey, look at me, look at me.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first started setting up, my Instagram and my Facebook and my email funnels and collecting emails. You have my Instagram links to a capture page, which is a page where you want to collect people's emails. Mm-hmm. And I remember it took me a while to understand the whole sales funnel series. And I remember getting my first lead where someone first put their email into my little page, and I was just celebrating. I was like, oh my goodness. And you can, from the email autoresponder service that I was using, you can see, where these people are from, what their name is. And I saw that this person was from like Europe or something. And I was like, oh my goodness, from across the world, somebody put their email in, and it was such a great experience and something that I celebrated.
Oh my gosh. And then when it started, when the more and more emails came, you're like, oh my God, it's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember my first online commission was only like $2 or something. And I was just so excited for that. I was like, wow, I made $2 from posting a picture or from reaching somebody online. So yeah, that stuff is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, how funny. That's so yay on that great achievement for you. Now for I think we're winding down. So for parting words for entrepreneurs starting out, what would you like to say to them?
For starting entrepreneurs, I know that there may be doubts coming in your mind or your ego saying you can't do that, this is impossible, how is it going to happen? And you've got other people saying, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. How are you going to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And just remember that, the people that are trying to advise you not to do something or not to start the business, just know that their path is not your path. And you have your own path, and it's spectacular, and it's special, and it's out of this world that only you, and it's only for you. So connect with yourself. And, I know most of these people that are talking to you that are saying you can't do it, I know that they're your friends and your family, mm-hmm. but you can still be respectful and say, thank you. And then go off and say, hey, this is my purpose in life, right?
Right.
And, and like I said, your ego is going to talk to you and say, hey, this is impossible. And when that starts going in your head, again, like I said earlier in the podcast, step back and meditate, lie down, connect with who you really, really are, because your ego is not who you are.
Right.
So when you connect who you really are, then the hows will start to come to you. The answers will start to come to you.
Yeah. Okay, so now where can we follow you? What are all your social media and websites, and how can we follow you?
Sure. Mainly social media is the best way to follow me. You can find me on Facebook. You can just do a search, Living the Daydream Family. And then on Instagram, you could also do a search, Living the Daydream CEO, and I'll pop up.
Awesome. Well, Joan, thank you so much for being on the show. You're an inspiration to me, and I know you're going to be an inspiration to many, many, many more. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Yay. Thank you. Well, that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Annie Talks and getting to know more about Joan Dizon, who's living the daydream. My takeaways from talking with Joan are: 1. Have a vision, visualize your goal, and vocalize and share your vision with others. As you've heard, Joan shared what she wanted and what she wanted to strive for in life for herself and for her family. She shared this vision with her family and friends and within her network, and she is certainly meeting her goals to this day and living the daydream. Number 2, stay laser focused. Multitasking is great, and for most women and some men too, we are great at multitasking. But if you stay focused, laser focused on one thing at a time, you become more productive and more efficient. And 3, start your day off in meditation. Whether that be in prayer, devotionals, journaling, outlining your day, or reflecting on the past few days, starting off your day in quiet time will help set the tone for the rest of the day and even alleviate stress and anxiety. All great advice. Don't forget to check out Joan's social media sites too. I will have all that information for you below down in the show notes, so be sure to check them out. Now, before we sign off, if you aren't already subscribed to my podcast, I invite you to hit subscribe and be notified anytime we upload a new episode. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it if you could just please rate and review my podcast. Please leave a comment or two. It would really help me out, and it will help others to find this podcast. You can follow me on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. I will have all the links to my social media below in the show notes too. And lastly, if you enjoy this podcast, please consider contributing to my Patreon page. Your contribution will help to further the vision and mission of Annie Talks so that we could produce more episodes like this one and many more other types of episodes and topics. The Patreon page will also be included in the show notes below. Thank you all again so much for tuning in, and keep listening to Annie Talks.
Hey everybody, it's Joan Dizon from Living the Daydream, and today you are listening to Annie Talks.